LaSasha Flame's Forbidden Fruit, a collection of taboo tales, written by LaSasha Flame, Jessa Melroy, J.D. Clare, Malik Montag, Edward Boitois, Jennifer Johnson, Don Sumner. Narrated by Rick McFadden. Breaking Rules Series, Book 1. Breaking All the Rules. Chapter 1. Invitation. My heart pounded with anticipation as the limo pulled into the parking lot. For the first time ever, I was attending one of the infamous master's balls. My master, Ben, receives invitations every month, but he would never attend. Although he didn't permit me to read the actual invitations, I could feel the envelopes were made of high-quality paper. They felt luxurious in my hand when I delivered Master Ben's mail. Each time they came, I prayed to the gods that Master would accept, and each time I watched my hopes fall into the wastebasket with the discarded, still sealed envelopes. Eventually, I gave up hope of ever attending until last month, when Master opened the envelope. He was sitting at his desk. His usual permanent scowl graced his tanned face, eyes glued to the computer screen when I had delivered the mail. He grabbed the stack and ripped open the envelope as if the distraction from the daunting task was welcomed. Frozen in place, I watched his espresso eyes study the invitation. Master enjoyed the security of routine, so I dared not assume we would attend, but his consideration had allowed hope to bloom in me once again. Master had a recent visit from the dirty blonde, man-bun, sporting, blue-eyed devil I was instructed to call Master Carson. He had stopped by to show off his new submissive he'd obtained at a previous ball. I overheard them talking about it. Master Carson explained in great detail all the obscene things he did with Kira. I will never look at Master Carson the same. On the outside, Master Ben seemed cool and casual, but I know him. He didn't like Master Carson showing off a new toy. When Master expressed interest in getting a new submissive to Carson, my blood boiled. Why can't I be enough for Master? Clearly his ego must answer every male peacocking challenge. I was already sharing him with 4 other submissives, and he has the nerve to even consider adding another? Master Carson teased Master Ben about him wanting the excitement of earned submission. His words left me puzzled. Submission was earned? I had so many questions that would never be answered unless I confessed to eavesdropping. Was this just a Master Carson thing or a Master thing? My master would probably not be straight with me, and I would have earned myself a punishment. I could try to ask Carson, but something about him scares me. He has given me this look like he is imagining filling all 3 of my holes while I am bound to a metal bondage contraption. Blue-eyed devil. Master Ben scoffed at the idea of earning anything. They are playthings, not equals. He rose from his desk to his full height for emphasis. In fact, I have been a little bored. Maybe I will acquire some new property. I was not sure how Master Carson responded. Hearing that I was just property, a plaything, was like a dagger made of fire and ice lancing through my chest. I never fancied myself as Master's equal, but I thought I mattered to him. My excitement to attend this ball was now dulled by the dread of Master shopping for my replacement. Chapter 2. A Party to Remember. When Master finally told me that he would be attending this upcoming ball with me as his escort, I tried my best to hide my excitement. My desire to go to the ball outweighed my concern for being replaced. Master Ben can be very possessive, so it was better to mask my excitement than to stir his anger. Being on his shit list, as he liked to call it, was the last place anyone ever wants to be. Even though I was confident Master's change of heart regarding the ball was influenced by Master Carson, I did not want to give him the impression I would use this as an opportunity to find a new owner. Finally being able to go to the ball didn't become real to me until a few hours ago when I found the outfit Master Ben picked for me to wear. It's really happening. After my chores were done, I entered my room and discovered a surprise. On my bed, next to the invitation, lay a candy apple red chemise with black lace around the bust and a base which would complement my bottom. It was beautiful, but I picked up the one thing I had longed to examine first. The invitation read, "Red Nights," under the theme. Red Nights? I couldn't help but frown. The theme was so plain. What could possibly be so wonderful about a red night? He had paired the chemise with black thigh highs, glossy black pumps, and of course my black collar. My master was probably in the market for a new submissive, but one thing was for sure. I did not have permission to play. According to the rules in the invitation, at these balls all submissives wear collars, and masters and mistresses have their own personalized ink stamps. Submissives who are free to play or looking for new masters wear red collars to signal to the ball that they are available. Taken or unavailable submissives wear custom collars or black collars. When a master or mistress is interested in a submissive, they can only stamp an available submissive. Submissives may receive more than one stamp and choose a master by giving their collar to that master. Masters are never permitted to mark an unavailable submissive. It's considered improper and disrespectful to the owner. They can be fined and or removed from the community. I picked up my plain black collar. Disappointed Master didn't think enough of me to give me a custom collar. For his pleasure, I bottle bleached my long, soft waves and fake bake because he said it brought out my crystal blue eyes and made me more beautiful. And yet, I was still not his crown jewel. Now I kind of wish my collar was red, but Master wouldn't be Master if he all of a sudden grew a heart. Chapter 3. Red Nights. A plain white building in the middle of nowhere greeted us when we stepped out of the limo. I imagined a red carpet-style entrance with paparazzi's frenzied attempts to capture the perfect picture of the nation's hottest masters and mistresses. The secluded building left something to be desired. Okay, we may not be society's cup of tea, but this took exclusive party to a whole new level. Please let the ball not be as boring as the outside. We entered the ball and my breath caught. It was beautiful. The entire ballroom was laced with seductive deep red silks and black roses. Thick pillar candles ran along the walls like a sea of flickering lights. The scent of vanilla and flowers filled my senses. The glow of a small water fountain filled with rose petals was the most beautiful of the decorations. Even the staff were beautiful. The servers were females who wore red corsets and black tulle skirts and shiny black knee-high boots. The go-go dancers, males, had every inch of their beautiful physiques oiled up as they gyrated. It was like nothing I had ever seen before. Master? Yes, Caroline? Is it always like this? He chuckled. The Master's Ball is an invite-only fuckfest thrown each month by a different master. Sometimes they are themed, but it's not required and all up to the hosting master. There are pleasure rooms for private activities and other areas for public activities. Master paraded me around the ballroom, liking the attention I stirred from the other masters. Knowing he has something others desire but they cannot have was a source of pleasure for his pride. We didn't settle into his reserved seating area until he was confident he had sparked jealousy, no matter how small, in most of the males. Master Ben only cared about the men being envious of him. As sexist as it was, he was not threatened by females, and he didn't view them as competitors. Master Ben measured himself against males only. Normally, I don't mind being on display for my master, but this other master caught my eye when we passed him. All it took was a brief glance to know that he was very attractive, a dark and smoldering type of sexy. He oozed confidence like he owned the joint. The spark of desire Mr. Dark and Steamy caused in me made me self-conscious. I wondered how my hair and makeup looked. Did he like what he saw in me? Despite the flutters in my chest, I strutted my stuff like I knew I was stunning. Chapter 4. Replacement. The server greeted us as she opened a bottle of champagne and poured a glass for my master. I took a seat on my master's knee as he commanded. Unsure if Mr. Steamy had noticed me, I scanned the room for him. Guests continued to arrive. Some were seated in groups while others were seated in larger semi-private seating areas like the one we occupied, showing a status of wealth. There. My eyes caught sight of my target. I watched him greet and converse with various people. My scan of the ballroom made me well aware that I had the attention of most, if not all, the dominants. All but him. My shoulders sagged. I hadn't captured his attention. It was silly, but it bothered me. Even if he was interested in me, one look at my black collar and he would lose that interest. Why waste time with a submissive he couldn't have? Then he looked right at me. My heart leapt out of my chest. The intensity of his stare left me feeling naked and exposed. Something about him scared me. It wasn't the dark and deadly aura he projected. It was the emotions he caused in me. I had never experienced that with anyone, not even with my master. It felt so foreign that I was lost for words to describe them. Was it longing? Hunger? Thirst? Helplessness? Maybe all of the above. I wasn't sure, but one thing was clear. This gorgeous stranger stirred a blazing fire in my body. For so long my world has been Master Ben, until now. Now I wanted to know Mr. Steamy. He gave me the most seductive smile that snapped me out of my trance. I averted my eyes, praying to the gods my long gaze hadn't offended him. Oh gods, what if my master had seen? Hesitant, I looked behind me, praying my master did not see my desire for another. My relief was short-lived and immediately replaced by a spark of jealousy. Wow. 2 seconds into the party and I was already invisible. He was too busy being distracted by another submissive wearing a red collar. Oh, and she was putting on a show for him, that little tramp. Some sick, twisted part of me actually wished I had been caught ogling another Mr. Steamy. The rage and the punishment would have been awful, but at least it would have been acknowledgement. He was just eating it up, drooling over the busty bitch in the red collar. I cleared my throat and let out a disapproving growl, intentionally pushing my limits with him. Not that I have ever bucked his authority before, but this time I wanted his negative attention. The more he was focused on me, the less attention he'd give to little red riding whore over there. He was in a good mood. Instead of being angry, he thought my feisty behavior was cute. Those dark espresso-colored eyes locked on me. His sinister grin surfaced. That same grin he flashed when my challenge made his dick stiff and he was going to fuck me hard until I came numerous times on his cock. He liked breaking me down to putty after hours of taking me. My pussy would be so swollen for days afterwards, forcing him to take one of the others until I was healed. His hand slid up to grab me by the back of my neck, and he pulled me close. The warmth of his breath caressed my ear. Don't worry, my tiger kitten. You will always be my favorite. He grabbed between my legs and pushed his finger inside me. I groaned from the sensation. "This is mine, and nobody will ever taste it but me," he said as he sucked his finger to savor my juices. You're already so wet for me." My face heated from my shame. My arousal pleased my master, but Mr. Steamy was responsible for the moisture between my legs. He plunged his finger back inside and worked my nub. My back arched into his touch, whimpering. He knows exactly where to touch me to drive my body crazy. I ground my hips in his lap, feeling his hard dick pressed against my ass. He groaned, finger fucking my pussy faster, and I felt the delicious pressure of my release building. Oh, God, so close. Then he abruptly stopped and squeezed his hand around my throat until my air was blocked. "You think I don't know what you are doing?" His grip tightened. "Do not fuck with me. You are not the one in control," he growled. I gulped in air, coughing when he released me. "Now be a good kitty and leave my presence. Enjoy the treat table or some champagne," he said as he nudged me off his lap. A sharp pain shot through my wrists from his grip. "Don't make me repeat myself tonight." Then he dismissed me with an ass smack. He was making it crystal clear that he was not in the mood to be challenged. If I even thought about bucking him, I was not going to get a hard fuck. Nope, he was going to make me regret I ever laid eyes on him. Humiliated and defeated, I bowed. "Yes, master." I stepped away from the seating area, blending into the crowd. When he thought I was out of sight, Master Ben gestured to the other submissive. Sure enough, she scurried to him like a dog in heat. A little red, busty bitch in heat. She may have felt special in that moment, but wait until she was just property like the rest of us. Chapter 5. Sweet Temptation. Although it was my first time attending a ball, I felt comfortable exploring on my own. Master's trust affords me more freedom than most. A long red table decorated with candles, chocolates, strawberries, French macaroons, champagne, and other gourmet nibbles caught my eye. Everything looked so delicious. I could not decide what to have first. Scratch that. Definitely enjoy one of everything. Okay, maybe two of everything. For a sweet-filled moment, I forgot about the other Mr. Steamy, until I looked up to discover he was standing at the other end of the dessert table. Instincts told me I should get lost, put as much distance between me and him as possible, avoid the temptation. My feet remained planted. Some dark-haired submissive, sporting a black collar, hung on his arm. He engaged in conversation with another dominant, paying no attention to his own submissive. She made sure everyone knew they were together. Her hold on him was possessive. He might not have noticed, but she was in love with him. She was beautiful. Long, thick, dark hair, soft, delicate facial features, legs for days. And like Ben, she appeared to be of Hispanic descent. The familiar spark of jealousy burned through me. Wait, how can I be jealous over a man I don't even know? I was being ridiculously stupid, and yet I couldn't tear my eyes away from them, unable to stop admiring him. Tall, olive skin tone, like he is of Middle Eastern descent, intense brown eyes, dark hair, well-groomed, low-cut beard, dressed impeccably, and a smile so beautiful his whole face lit up when he laughed. The corners of my mouth curled up each time his beautiful smile surfaced. Our eyes met. My heart stopped. The cookie became a lump in my throat. That seductive smile of his surfaced like he knew every dirty thought that was running through my head. An entire sweets table stood between us, and yet I was still too close to him, too intimate. His intense gaze left me raw and exposed, completely and utterly naked. I burned with desire deep in my core, wanting him on me. His body covering my body, his mouth covering my mouth, joined together by our... No. It's against the rules for a taken submissive to be with another master. I turned to give him my back. Enough of this, Caroline. This was disrespectful to my master and the host. Scratch that. Ball or no ball, I was not this type of submissive. It's time I investigated the rest of the party. Chapter 6. Body on Fire. My body was on fire. Others engaged in various sexual activities as I explored the naughty corners of the ball put me into overdrive. I saw this dominant who had a submissive bent over a table and strapped down. The moans of her pleasure as he took her sweet little ass grabbed my attention. I settled on the red floor cushion and my fingers brushed over my swollen clit. My moans surfaced and gained the attention of the dominant. He smiled at me, pleased with the audience. He plowed into her harder, forcing a guttural moan from her, never taking his eyes off me. I worked my engorged nub at the same pace of his hips. My fingers dipped inside me occasionally and fueled my arousal. The release was building in my core when Mr. Steamy stepped in front of me. He blocked my view. My eyes met his gaze, and if I was not mistaken, I think he did it intentionally. His eyes fell to something lower. The spark of his desire flared from the view of my dripping wet folds. I stood up, purposely denying him the view of my pussy. No freebies, hot stuff. That familiar feeling of being exposed made me uncomfortable under his glaze. For an awkward moment, he just stared, with a smile. You have caught my eye this evening, and yes, I know it's improper to engage in anything with a submissive that is not available, but I just had to know your name, he said with a hint of a southern accent. Flattered, my face turned red. He had noticed me, and that felt good. Unable to hold back, I smiled. I have noticed you as well, and my name is Caroline. He flashed his 1,000-watt smile. Hand extended, he said, Lovely to meet you, Caroline. I'm Derrick. His touch sent shock waves through my body, so powerful I felt my nipples harden. My emotions were a knot of excitement, fear, and arousal. Should I call you Master Derrick? My words came out more breathless than I wanted. He stepped closer, like a predator trapping his prey, our bodies just inches apart. The woody aroma of vetiver and the soft musk of tonka beans filled my senses. Oh, gods, he smelled amazing, like pure man capable of mind-blowing orgasms as he pounds into you. You already have a master. His finger ran along my black collar. And it doesn't look like you have permission to play. My every breath felt forced. Desire for him was crippling, sweet agony. In my mind, I knew I should await my master's permission. Permission that would never come. I would have to take Derrick selfishly, knowing that I was disrespecting Master Ben. Each second this close to him frayed my control. It took everything I had to resist the need to be devoured by him. Run, Caroline. I turned, set to walk away in my last resolve to deny myself, to deny him. Pain shot through my wrist from his grip as he pulled me into him. The dominant in him did not like me turning my back to him, but the man in him was dying to have me. The fire in his eyes both scared and excited me. In that moment, he said, "Fuck the rules." His mouth was against mine, forceful and hungry, as if his control had slipped. Moans escaped me. Our tongues danced a passionate tango. I felt his hands explore my body as he kissed from my lips to my neck. I was ready, in pure need, starved for him to be everywhere. Fistful of his hair, I pressed my body against his like a feral cat in heat. He broke our kiss and left me breathless. Chapter 7. Fuck the rules. He grabbed my hand to lead me through the crowd, careful not to arouse the attention of my master, nor his own submissive. We reached an empty playroom. Before I came to my senses and protested, he pulled me in and locked the door. My back hit the wall, and we were devouring each other. He pulled my chemise over my head, which left me in just my thigh-highs and pumps. He dipped to take a nipple in his mouth. My back arched into his touch. I ripped at his tie and shirt. Fuck, his chest was chiseled by the gods. "I want to taste you," I said. "Is that a question?" he teased. I slammed him against the wall, removed his pants, and grabbed his large, thick erection. He groaned. My tongue slid from his base to his tip. A gasp escaped him. "Asking you would imply you had a choice in the matter." The corners of his mouth curled up. I took him into my mouth, pumped his shaft with my lips. My spit coated his cock. Guttural moans poured from him. His sounds of pleasure were intoxicating and spurred me on. He ripped me from his cock, panting. "Don't fucking break me, Caroline." My mischievous giggle surfaced. Derrick lifted me off the floor, his lips against mine, never breaking our kiss. He carried me to the black leather chase and lowered me to straddle him. I grabbed his stiff rod and rubbed the tip between my slick folds. I wanted it wet with my juices before lowering on his hard cock. He groaned, gripping my waist, lined himself with my core, and drove deep inside me. The power of his thrust split me open. Fuck! My nails scored into his shoulders. Oh, gods, he was thick. I could feel every inch of him assaulting my walls. The delicious sensation of pain-laced pleasure vibrated through my body. He clutched my hips like he was barely holding on to his control. Oh, so the sick bastard likes mixing my pleasure with pain. I like hearing your moans and whimpers. He drove into me deep and hard. A bouncing breast was sucked into his mouth. My body jerked from the assault of his incredible tongue on my nipple. If that's what he can do with a nipple, imagine the sweet torture he could inflict on my pussy. My hips slammed into him, meeting every thrust. With a fistful of his hair, I yanked his head back. My breast popped free from his mouth. No words were uttered, just shared stares, moans, whimpers, and groans that spoke volumes. We were lost in each other, our souls bared, walking a fine line between making love and primal aggression. The pressure bloomed in my core. The telltale signs of sweet agony spurred me on. Feverish for ecstasy, I rode him hard. Fuck, Caroline. It's taken everything I got not to shoot my load deep into that pussy. His words did it. The realization of him taking and filling me raw. Oh, yes. My release ripped through my body like a raging river shattering a weakened dam. "Oh, gods," I cried. He flipped us to where he was on top with my legs wrapped around his waist. I gasped when he plunged into me, rough and primal. He pounded into me without mercy, forced me to experience every inch of his thick cock stretching my tight walls. All I could do was scream in pleasure. My nails scraped his back as my second release broke through. I shattered into a million pieces. He wailed in pleasure. His body spasmed with the spill of his seed, so drunk with ecstasy my vision blurred. Oh, gods, that was the best sex of my life. Not that I had many experiences to compare. What type of magical cock sorcery is this? He collapsed on top of me, both of us panting and sweaty. Derrick gave me one more breathless kiss before we disconnected. He repositioned me to lay on his chest. I felt like a sedated kitten curled up in his arms. He spread the courtesy blanket from under the chase over us. He kissed my forehead and said, "That was amazing. I know you are not mine, but I just want to live in this moment a little longer before." I pressed my lips to his lips. "Shh. I am here." I wasn't ready for it to end. The consequences could wait.